what's the problem you see with the twin turbo rear end, and how does it ship from Nissan just for educational purposes? What are the
Okay, well the twin turbo rear end has about a 3.65 ratio. The NA rear end's about a 4.10. The point being that when you do power upgrades, especially that are going to be used on the street and not, concerned about whether or not you're going to be going 175 miles an hour, the NA rear end tends to give you a nice advantage because you get to the top of each gear quicker, and it'll make any car feel like it's quicker than it already is, and quicker versus faster, right? I mean, you'll get to from 0 to 60 a lot quicker. Sunny day here at MWS Motorsports. It's been raining quite a bit lately, actually. Some of the cars are still wet. Today seems like a perfect day to do a little bit of 0 to 60 benchmark testing on the car of Martin Taylor. Carl's just setting up the old G-Tech here. And then we'll get out and
Yep, we'll get this set up.
Break the law for a little bit.
Kids, don't try this at home.
This car is actually a twin turbo automatic that was switched over to a manual transmission.
Oh, really? Huh.
And so I think that the automatic turbos with the Greg Dupree early divorce downpipes are giving us a lot. I think it's got stock injectors, but Jim Wolf, and we put the HKS EVC5 on there, which is working real well.
So this is actually an automatic turbo motor. Huh.
Yep.
Wow, it feels good.
We're having a hard time finding Kumos in the twin turbo sizes that are all like rated for the right temperature rating and everything.
No, the Kumo 711s, right?
Yeah, and the Fusions seem to be pretty aggressively going after the Z market because they've got it all in a W rated tire for like.
God, stock brakes suck. I'm serious, man. It feels all wooden, and you have to like lean on the pedal to get anything to happen.
Well, maybe we can talk Martin into doing something about that sometime soon.
You should. You should.
So here we are going into deepest, darkest Silicon Valley, looking for an abandoned road where there's no economic growth going on, to see if we can break the law during lunchtime here.
Now this is historic downtown Silicon Valley. On the left here you have Onizuka Air Force Base. You have Lockheed Martin.
Yahoo is coming up, right?
Oh,
there's my cell phone.
Yeah, we gotta turn the cell phone off.
Somebody, it's important. Oh, it's Martin. Martin, we're filming right now and test driving your car, but we haven't gotten to the place to do it yet. Oh, hold on a second. So I just wanted to, oh, he's doing a little test right now, I guess. Hold on a second, I got a bad shot here.
He's trying to learn how to launch this damn thing.
He's trying to figure out how to launch your car so we can do some 0-60 times. Oh, okay, he doesn't want us to launch his car.
What?
We were going to do some 0 to 60 times so we could tell the difference between the way it is now and the way it's going to be when we get done with the NA.
My cell phone's going on.
Well, the problem with the horsepower run is you're going to have the same horsepower no matter what. It's just that you're going to become quicker because of the gearing. We thought about that, but it doesn't work that way. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't actually add torque or horsepower. What it's going to do is actually make you quicker for the amount of horsepower that you've got. It's basically just like putting you in a different gear. If you should technically be able to, like, measure the same horsepower in any gear, then all we're doing is changing your gearing.
It goes nice in second gear.
He likes it.
I gotta get turbos, man.
So yeah, Carl still has turbo envy.
Ugh.
He likes your car.
We could do a rolling start. It's kind of geeky, but we could do it.
All right, so we're gonna do a rolling start then. All right, dude. I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, let me take a quick shot of this road here. So here's our road, which is like surrounded by Silicon Valley buildings of varying vacancy on both sides. And it's pretty long and it's straight, and everyone's at lunch, and there's a guy mowing the lawn right there. And I think we're gonna be okay. So let's see what we can do here. Martin doesn't want us to abuse his clutch, so we're gonna try to do this without abusing his clutch.
Can we just turn the camera off and abuse his clutch? I missed third.
Okay. bit sick when Carl drives this way. I have to go eat lunch too.
I'm starving.
Yeah, the first run we hit 60 miles an hour in 5.3 seconds. With all that wheel spin up to 40 miles an hour. So that was pretty sweet.
Another thing that is starting to happen is Greg Dupree and Specialty Z are selling a product that is basically a 410 gear set, ring and pinion set for the twin turbo rear end. That sounds like a pretty viable solution. You just need to sort of weigh and bar, the difference between taking the diff out, getting it to a place that can tear it, crack it open, having all the old parts removed, the new parts installed, what it costs to seal it up and then put it back on the car,
Right.
versus NA rear ends, which are incredibly economical as price point goes. I mean, I've seen people get them for as cheap as $250 to $300 complete.
Right.
To as much as maybe $400 or $500.
So the twin turbo half shafts bolt right into the NA diff, no
Oh,
problem.
I see what you're saying. Now when you're talking about what are really called actually called the drive shafts, which are basically the two CV shafts that drive the
We
wheels.
only call that because Nissan's stupid.
Yeah,
They should
Nissan
be
calls them
half
drive
shafts.
shafts.
The drive shaft it goes from
Right.
transmission to the
So the half
shaft.
shafts, no. Twin turbo half shafts will not fit into the NA. You're going to basically be using an entire NA rear end with its diff, its half shafts, its bearings, its hubs,
Oh, all that
its
too?
everything.
Okay.
Because the other reason why you're using all that anyways is because you're losing HICAS.
Okay, right.
Most people want to lose HICAS. And
After you remove the high cast, what do you do with the whole power steering system?
well, there's a couple of different ways. The easiest way to handle the fact that you've got like all these tubes going back that have power steering fluid running through them is to just take one of the tubes and lube it around back onto itself so that the pump is just pumping fluid all the way to the back of the car and back to the front again.
So there's two tubes coming back, right?
Yeah, two
And
tubes
so you're
coming
gonna-
out of the block that go to the HICAS unit itself. You take one of them
Take
off,
one off,
take
the
the
other
other
one you
one,
loop around.
but you can't just leave it keyed where it is. You have to loosen it up,
Right.
twist it around a little bit, and it's actually a bit of a fight to get it to line right back up so that the two banjo fittings are flush with the face.
Right.
And that's the cheapest and easiest way to do it.
Now, what's doing it right though?
Doing it right would involve taking out every single bit of like the gross, disgusting, it's like a varicose vein stripping job for like a cosmetic surgeon who just like strips out all the veins from the back all the way to the front and just remove all that mess. And then you get up to the pump and so you've got like sort of a 4-chambered heart instead of what you really need, which is a little nice NA steering pump, which is a 2-chambered heart. You get rid of that big giant, HICAS junction solenoid that's up there on the passenger fender, all that shit. And then you get yourself a power steering pump, and you think, okay, I'll just go out and buy myself a power steering pump, and it's not quite that simple. Number one, if you go to Nissan and you ask them for a power steering pump for an NA, it's going to be $450 new.
Ouch.
And then you look and go, well, I can buy a rebuilder from just about anybody under the sun for anywhere between $120 to $160. And then you get a pump with a stem, the shaft sticking out of the center. No filler tube, no pulley wheel, no mounting brackets, no nothing. And then you go back to Nissan and you say, well, how much are those parts? And then you find out that that's a whole bunch of money. So probably the best way to do it is to buy a used, beat up power steering pump, NA power steering pump from somebody with every mounting bracket that it touches,
Wow.
every single one. And make sure that you have all of them because each one of those is like $40 to $60. I mean, just the pulley is really expensive. Just the
Oh,
little
God.
sort of crescent-shaped bracket that bolts onto the front of the pump. Just the little sort of T-shaped tube for the hose to go in for drain back is horribly expensive, So you want to get all that stuff, take it off the pump, take the pump and use that as your core, and then just buy a nice rebuilder for like $120, $150, and you should be
Okay.
all set.
Right.
That's my favorite way to do it.
Anything else you have to worry about?
Speedometer sensors. To do that job, I mean, you're probably going to have to sort of undo the rear tranny mounts a little bit and sort of let the tranny sag a little bit. It's just one little bolt that you undo, and you can kind of just break it loose and back out the speedo sensor and unplug it. And it's going to be blue if it's twin turbo, and what you want is the one with the little red pinion gear on it that comes from an NA.
Oh, okay.
And even though they got different numbers of teeth, they're sort of like one is this way and one's slightly offset this way.
Right. So they
You
both.
can't really even see it unless you really hold them right next to each other.
You have to count
And you
the
just
teeth.
put that
yeah.
guy back in. Probably want to change the O-ring in the meantime.
Yeah, okay.
And bolt it back into place, and now you should have your speedometer should be set back the way.
When you take that out, you're not gonna. It's not above. Is it above the fluid
Yes.
line? So there's
Yeah,
no.
so it's not gonna
leak out of it.
like drain like fluid down on top of your head. Or and the other thing that you need to bear in mind though is that an actual NA half shaft is a bit smaller in diameter, potentially less strong,
Okay.
and that the spline out going into the bearing is different, so that you're now using NA rear wheel bearings instead of twin turbo rear wheel bearings.
Do you see that strength difference as being any real factor at all?
No, not considering the fact that the Nissan Motorsports catalog only has the NA,
Okay.
differential as
Right.
their racing diff.
So everybody who races those things realistically.
Yeah, basically that's what they're using, and it's basically technically the same diff that's being used on at least a few other cars like the S14s and such. It may be a slightly different case, but it's the same diff.
So it can take 400 or 500 horsepower, no questions asked.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think that there may be people that are throwing on slicks and breaking axles, but still I haven't read this, but I can imagine that's probably where the weak link is.
okay.
You know,
People doing drag
and that's
launches,
just
that kind of crazy
that's
stuff.
life. I mean, if you're going to start running 600-700 pound-feet of torque, and you're going to throw slicks in your car, and you're going to try to launch your car like over and over again multiple times, you will break axles. That's just the way things go.
At that point, axles become just as consumable as my brake rotors.
Yes, absolutely. They become
Yeah.
entertainment expense.
Yeah. What's exactly involved?
Yeah, basically, I mean, you have to take the entire rear subframe and drop it on the ground. Well, of course, first removing the drive shaft, undoing, the shock absorbers and all that stuff,
Right.
and the brakes, and basically hanging them up, and the brake cables. And then as soon as you look around and do a check to make sure that everything is undone, you find some way to support it on the ground and lift the car up off of it, or some way to like put a jack safely in the middle of it with some brace that like keeps it even,
Also,
and let it
yeah.
down very, very slowly, and check to make sure that everything's going okay as you're going, and it'll just come right off. It's actually in some ways one of the easier types of mods that you'll do to get the type of power gains that you'll get.
Right. What kind of hours is involved in that?
If you're working quick and you know what you're doing, I think that you can get a rear end off in 2 hours, so maybe 2.5, maybe slightly less than that, depending on how experienced you are.
Get the subframe off or pull off the whole project?
No, just to get it off.
Now, I presume the 2-seat and 2+2 subframes are different, right?
No,
Really?
they're the same.
Oh.
Yeah, that's another reason why this is kind of I have a friend that jokes about BMWs being, partially owned by Lego. And the nice thing about Nissan is that their platforms during the 90s, between the S13s, S14s, and the Z32s, similar situation. And I'm sure now with the FM platforms, there's a lot of compatibility, as well, that comes into play that makes it pretty easy for one to do these types of changeovers. And this is one of them that comes in handy. Even on the 2+2, you can still use the same subframe.
Oh, cool.
Then putting it back on, including making sure that you don't do anything stupid, probably takes close to like 3.5, 4 hours just to make sure that everything's on correctly. The other reason why is just it has to go on exactly perfectly straight onto those 4 pins that stick down out of the frame. I mean, it can't be going on at all crooked, either front or back, side to side, or even at an angle. I mean, it has to be perfectly straight. And that can take a little bit of time to like take 2 or 3 extra little jacks and sort of jack in one corner or the other and sort of, see if you can level it out perfectly and get it to just slide right onto those pins and get it on.
Right. So why is he such a pussy about letting me launch his car?
I don't know, because the way he was trashing the thing when we went to the drift event
Oh, totally.
for
dude.
drift school.
Oh my god.
I mean, he's just taking around the figure eight and like, stopping and starting and, swirling it around the cones and stuff and destroying tires until they're flopping against the insides of, his wheel wells. And that's a great take. Look at this shit. He is riding on the rim. He has taken his tire down to its knees.
Look at this. Come and get this.
Hey, it's Martin.
It is. It's a pickup day.
Martin's going to get into his car right now and we're going to go for a quick ride and see what his reaction is to his new NA rear end.
Yep. Hella strong.
Hello. So we're not even on the highway yet and Martin's already farting around here.
Lighten up second gear.
It definitely feels different, right?
Yeah. The gears are over like. We're going north here? Or?
Yeah, we're gonna, No, don't do north, do south. There's like a nice loop. But you're gonna want to get out of there. Get in front of the old delivery guy here, yep.
This thing's suddenly exposed now. Talk about zero turbo life.
Well, let's see, automatic transmission turbos on a manual transmission motor with a EVC5 boost controller and Greg Dupree downpipes and my hard lines for the wastegate control, and an NA rear end. And you got a car that has basically no. Woohoo!
Get out the triple figures. Damn, that's quick. Wow, that sounds hot.
It's a nice day. It's like been raining for like the last 3 weeks. This is a good day to get your car back, huh?
Yes, it is. SUV?
Is he liking it?
That's crazy shit.
Alright, we're here testing Martin's Twin Turbo Z with the NA rear end. Go for it. There we go. That's what I like to see. 0 to 60 in 4.7.
Whoa.
Woo!
Damn.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's pretty good.
There we go.
That was a fantastic run, but let's take a closer look at the exact numbers. Now if we start with the launch, the red line being Martin's car with the stock twin turbo rear end, and the black line being Martin's car with the NA rear end swapped by MWS. My attempt with the twin turbo rear end gave me a 2.315 second 60-foot time. Very respectable. Martin, however, did a 2.215 60-foot time. The difference of 0.1 seconds. But then after the car hooks up and starts accelerating towards that first gear shift, the NA rear end pulls out a huge lead, 0.3 seconds. Enough time to go ahead and shift and not really lose its lead against the twin turbo and then continue accelerating. As the twin turbo makes its first shift from first to second gear, it falls way back and then continues to fall back as we move on towards the second gear shift up at 60 miles an hour. At that point, the lead is about 0.5 seconds. The NA rear end has more than enough time to go ahead and shift, maintain its lead, and continue accelerating hard. The twin turbo can go a little further before shifting, but then after that second to third gear shift, things continue to go downhill bad, or at least would have if I hadn't botched the shift. The final results, after 0 to 60 miles an hour, the NA rear end, 4.781 seconds. The twin turbo rear end, 5.3 seconds. The difference of more than half a second. A huge improvement.